So in today's session, we are going to learn about the listening module and what can be done in the listening module to be able to perform at your best optimum positions. See, in the listening module, we're going to first talk about the whole structure of the listening test. What are the questions that you can expect from the listening section, and also how can we perform in a way that we get the optimum results. All of this will be discussed in today's session. So let's begin. Let us first look at the overview of the listening section. So it is going to be divided into 4 parts, and each part contains 10 questions. So total number of sections are 4. From each section 10 questions, that mounts up to 40 numbers of 40 questions in general. And then again, since it is a listening section, so you will be made to listen to an audio. It will contain different kinds of information, and it will contain different kinds of accent. One thing which is worth noting is, as you will progress from one part to the other, the difficulty level will increase, but the audio cannot be repeated. So once you are done with a particular section, you will not be able to go back to that section or listen to the audio again. It will be only played once, and depending upon which type of test you want to give, pen and paper or computer based, the duration of the test also varies. So let's say if you want to go for pen and paper test, then you get an extra 10 minutes to transfer the answers on the answer sheet, but the audio's duration remains constant. It is like 28 to 30 minutes of an audio, and then you get plus 10 minutes to transfer answers in the answer sheet. The next is computer-based test. The computer-based test is done on, of course, a computer. So you do not get any separate time to transfer any answer to anywhere, because you will be typing simultaneously as you hear the answers. So the test gets over within in 30 minutes, and it includes 1 or 2 or even 3 minutes that is given to you to check your answers. So in the pen and paper, you get 10 minutes to transfer the answer. In computer based, you get 2 to 3 minutes to check your answer. However, you are not required to transfer any information anywhere, because you will be typing the answers simultaneously. Now, the question is getting a 9 band score in the IELTS listening is a possibility? The answer is yes, definitely it is, because everything that you're going to write down will come in an order. So the listening section, it follows an order. You don't have to find the answer or locate the answer from anywhere like pen and paper, like the reading test. Here, the answers, they will come to you. You just have to listen to them and write it down. So it's comparatively easier, and that's the reason why scoring let's say a 9 on 9 is a possibility, because you don't really have to do any extra work. You just have to listen and write the answers. Coming to some essential tips to crack the listening section. The first and foremost for any question type or any test, it is to practice regularly. What I mean by practice regularly is, you have to familiarize yourself with the format. There is a particular format here that the listening test follows. As I told you, it is divided into 4 parts. Each part contains a set kind of situation from where the audio begins. For example, part 1 is a conversation between 2 people. Part 2 is a monologue. Part 3 is a conversation amongst people, and part 4 is again a monologue. So what you have to do is, you have to familiarize yourself with all kinds of questions like this, and this will help you to understand the kinds of questions that you can expect in the listening section. The next is improve your listening skills. How can you do it? Is when you will practice in a lot of accents, or when you will follow a lot of accents, including British, American, Australian, Canadian, European, whatever accent it is. You will prepare yourself to be able to understand different kinds of accents, and you will be able to then get the answers from the test pretty easily. The next is listen for keywords. Similar to the reading section, listening section also has some keywords. So you should be able to grasp them easily, and then when you understand the keywords, you will be able to find the answers pretty easily as well. The next is be mindful of spelling and grammar. Of course, how to write the answer will completely depend on the instructions and the grammar that you use. So make sure when you're answering, you are following the grammar structure, you're not making any spelling errors, you're not making any punctuation errors, and this is how you can ace the listening section. There are certain things that you have to keep in mind. The first thing is that the recording will not be repeated. So it's going to be played only once. So while the recording is being played, you have to find out the answers and make sure that you do not think, or make sure that you do not have this thing in mind that I'm going to write the answers later on, because later on you will not be able to remember what was there in the audio. So practice active listening and active writing so that you understand. That brings us to the next point, which is multitasking. You are required to listen, write, and understand all at once. So make sure that you practice umpteenth number of times so that you get the skill. The next is practice transferring answers to the answer sheet at home before your test. Yes. So what you can do is you can download a sample answer sheet, and what you can do is while writing, try to write in rough and then you transfer it. So you will see if you're able to write it down in 10 minutes or not, and then you will gain the practice for it as well. The next is you should write all the answers on the answer sheet using using a pencil, not pen, but I think this has been changed, so you have to use it, you have to write everything down in the final answer sheet. Yes, you will have to write everything down with a pencil, with a pen, but while practicing, when you are writing it in rough, you can even use the pencil, but it's better that you write with the pen and get an idea. The 11th one is educated guess. See, sometimes it might happen that you are not able to really guess the right answer. So here you can use your logic. For example, we've discussed it, like if nothing works, use dash and error. So we have try and error method. So that's something that we use normally as well. And you will have certain things in the passage that comes from normal day-to-day conversation. So then you can use your guess, you can make an educated guess and write down what you think is correct. And the next is you can answer everything in either uppercase or lowercase, but if you take our suggestion, you can write everything in the capital letters, and it is going to be better because then you don't have to think about the punctuation style or the techniques. Just write all the answers in uppercase. All right. The next is instructions. You always have to read the instructions carefully so that you know exactly how much word count you need to follow. Sometimes the question will specify that do not write more than one word. Here, if you write two words, the answer, if it contains the correct answer as well, it will be marked as incorrect. So always follow the instructions. The next is how words and numbers are calculated. Wherever you have a hyphenated word, hyphen in the middle, it becomes one word. If you're writing about, let's say, phone numbers, it again becomes just one word. If you're writing about a year, any particular specific year, it becomes one word. So again, depending on what you are writing, it will change the word count. So make sure that you are falling in the prescribed word count. The next is should you use articles or prepositions? Well, this will differ depending on the question and the structure of the question. Let's say if the question is the best place to meet is dash, and the next is in, let's say, note completion, you have a question like just a second. You have a question like place, and then the instruction says only write one word. So of course, at the school is something that you cannot write in note completion. Sentence completion may, if you have the ability or agility to write 3 sentences, you can write, or 3 words, you can write at the school. So again, to use articles or prepositions will differ from question to question. You will have to figure it out. So the more you practice, the better you will get at figuring out the answers. The fourth is instructions for multiple choice questions. A lot of students, they find it difficult because what they do is they write the answers instead of following the instruction which says choose the correct option. So if the answer is choose the correct option, you need to write the option A, B, and C and not red, yellow, green. So make sure that again, it's imperative that you understand the instructions to get the answers correct. The next one is look out for plural answers. Sometimes you will have to hear whether the audio said a singular answer or a plural. For example, if the audio says there are a number of hotels, so if you write hotel, it comes out as an incorrect answer. And if, let's say, I received one gift on my birthday, but you write, I received one gifts, it's going to be an incorrect answer. So make sure that you are looking out for plural answers and writing the correct format. If it is a plural answer, you will have to write S or ES. If it is a singular answer, then it depends. The next one is paraphrase and synonyms. Again, paraphrasing, synonyms, as I have told you, these are the besties in the IELTS. You will expect them to be always there. So make yourself familiar with paraphrasing and synonyms. Make them your friends. Learn about the synonyms. Learn about the art of the technique of mastering the paraphrases. And of course, again, it will not shock you when you get these kinds of questions then in the question paper. Now, watch out for distractors. This is a particular thing that you will expect and observe in the second, third, and forthcoming parts where the answer keeps on changing. Especially in the third part, where there is like a lot of people involved in conversing with each other, the answer seems to change. So make sure that you hear for words like although, but, however, it was, but now it has been changed, because this will change the course and directory of your answers. So watch out for distractors. The next is do not try to understand everything. As I told you, there are going to be 40 questions, and your concentration should be to those to finding out the answers for those 40 questions, and nothing more, nothing less. So just keep on following the options, like just keep on following the audio. Just keep on following the audio, and then what you need to do is you just need to figure it out where the answer is, and that's it. So you don't have to like worry about understanding whole of the passage. You do not have to worry about understanding verbatim what is being said. Just focus your answers. Just focus your questions. Try to find out the answers for only those questions. Rest everything is redundant. So I think we have discussed most of it. But yes, when we talk about active listening is when you are listening and understanding and finding out the answers at the same time. So what you can do is listen to a lot of podcasts, and what you can do is towards the end try to remember what was the center of those podcasts, what was the central topic of the podcast, what all did they discuss. So this will help you sharpen your memory. It will help you to focus on different kinds of accents, and it will help you to get better at understanding the comprehension. The next is familiarize yourself with question types. Of course, the more you will practice, the better you will get. But make sure that you're practicing from the right source. You're not practicing anything and everything that comes your way. The next is do not overthink mixed answers. See, there is no negative marking in the IELTS. So even if you missed out on a particular answer, it's not a big deal. You can, of course, miss out on one or two, but just don't do it deliberately. If it happens, it happens. But it's okay. Get yourself back, pull yourself together again and start answering the questions. And also, there's a pro tip: make sure that you're reading two questions at a time, so that if God forbids you missed out on one answer, you know where and how to realign yourself. So always have two questions in mind. The next is understand this test structure, because there's a set pattern in which the audio will come. So if you understand and recognize the sections, it becomes easier for you to navigate through. The next is recognize synonyms and paraphrasing. The besties, I told you, it's going to be there. So make sure that you know what is synonyms, what is paraphrasing, so that you can focus on the answers and you can get the answer even when it is rephrased. Don't stress about every word. Yes, do not try to really get into the details of every answer, or do not try to understand every word, because at times you will not be able to get one word or two. It's fine if it is not the center for your question, it is redundant any which ways. Just focus on your questions and try to find out the answers for those questions. And again, anything apart from that is extra information, it is redundant. You can always overlook it. The next is review mistakes after practice. You will be given 2 to 3 minutes to proofread. So make sure that in that given time you are proofreading, you are looking at your spellings, you're checking the grammar. That was I supposed to write the articles, or was I supposed to use anything else, so that the scope of making an error gets really minimized, and you are like 3 steps ahead, and you're not making any mistakes. Now, coming for the test preparation techniques, the first one is simulate exam conditions. Make sure that you at one, like if you sit once, you are completing all the 4 sections. Do not take in gaps in the middle, because in the official test you will not get any gaps. So make sure that you are practicing, keeping the actual test in mind. The next is review mistakes. When you are given the time to check for your answers, make sure that you do check your answers and see if there is any mistakes that you made. And also in general, if you made any mistake while preparing or while answering the questions, see what went wrong. What is that particular thing that you're not able to understand? And this, in this way, you will know how to improvise yourself. The next is build vocabulary. How can we do that? You can use ChatGPT if you don't want to read, but reading is the best thing that you can do. You will come across tons and tons of words. You can learn them, and this will help you build your vocabulary. And if not, then you can just do any reading section. You will have a lot of words there. Write down those words, write down their meaning, and that's how you basically expand your vocabulary. Listen for specific information. If the listening section is asking you to write down the name, number, place, postal address, phone number, age of someone, you know that these are the specific information that you need to locate in the answers. So for these kinds of questions where you know exactly what is going to be the answer, be more vigilant so that you can get the answers better and easily. The next is use practice materials. Utilize the official IELTS materials. Do not use any other material, because the test follows a standard procedure. There's a bar of difficulty that comes in the question. So if you make sure that you're practicing from the right source, you are preparing for the actual pattern of the test. Otherwise, you may prepare from somewhere which is not as difficult, but you might then find the test to be difficult, because again, there's a set pattern, there's a set bar of difficulty that IELTS has. So, all in all, make sure when you're practicing, you are practicing from the right source. Now, coming to some listening techniques, you can definitely use these techniques to find out or locate the answer. The first one is listen for signal words. Signal words are like the words that are used before the distractor, and then when you use these distractor, the answers get changed. So the first is although, however, in addition, or apart from that. You even have questions like initially we thought, but now it changed. So make sure that you are listening for these signal words. You are making sure that you understand how the answers are changing, and in this way you will be able to find out the answer. The next is paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is when you know that the answers will not follow the same structure, the same vocabulary. That is paraphrasing. So make sure that you do learn how it is paraphrased and you do know what are synonyms. The next is listen for context clues. Context clues are the words that will guide you to the answers. So, like for example, you have to find out the phone number of a person, and in the audio it says, "May I have your digits, please?" So the digit is a synonym for phone numbers, and this is guiding you. It's a context clue to make you more vigilant that the next information is going to be the answer. So this is what you do. The next is focus on stress and intonation. Quite frequently, the way the answers are being said would tell you whether it's a solid given factual answer or if there is a scope for the answer to change. So for example, are we going on Sunday? It's a question, so the answer may be yes or no. If it is no, then there's going to be an alternate day. So you have to again listen for it. If it is, if the question if the answer is like yes, we are, so it means it's the answer and there is no scope of change. So quite often, if you just focus on the stress and intonation, you will be able to get the answer. The next is avoid distractions. Distraction is when you are preparing, make sure that you do not have a lot of people here and there who will like distract you. Sit in a quiet place, plug in your earphones, and again try to find out the answers, because this is how you will be. The context of the place would be like this. You will have your own earphones. There's not going to be a lot of hustle and bustle. So just copy the same environment so that it becomes easier for you to focus. Now, coming to some improving listening skills. A is engage in conversations. what you can do is, when you want to really get better at your craft, you can ask somebody to practice with you, make them ask questions, make them, you should also ask them some questions. Or what you can do is silently observe two people talking in English, see if you're able to understand or not. In this way, you will be able to understand the way they are speaking. You will be able to even communicate. So this is something that you can do. Engage in conversations. The next is watch English movies and shows, but make sure that you do not turn on the subtitles, because of course when you are turning on the subtitles, you know what is happening, right? But in the listening section, you will not be able to see the facial expression of the other person, neither will you have any citations or anything. So make sure, if you at all you want to watch movies, turn off the caption, or you can just play the movie and keep it side, like somewhere aside, so that you can understand just by what they are speaking. That's a really great exercise if you want to learn accents. The next is, listen to English songs. While try to listen to English songs only to understand the accent, their pronunciation, their vocabulary, and quite frequently, a lot of English songs, they use very good vocabulary, so you can learn the vocabularies from that as well while enjoying the song. The next is join English language group, because you have to participate speaking in English. So it is important that you join a group where you get the opportunity to communicate with people, and you can then deal with your inner demons of fears, the fear of speaking, the fear that you might not sound correct. All of this will vanish if you speak more. So you can join any English group. You can come to us. We provide you with English classes, and we provide you with IELTS classes, so that you get the option and the opportunity to speak in those classes, and then of course you will get the confidence. And use language learning apps. If you are a beginner and you don't really know how to say what to say, you can use certain kinds of apps, and in an interactive way you will learn English. Now, some examples that illustrates the techniques to enhance your IELTS listening scores. See, recognize signal words. Here it says, I agree with your point. However, we need to consider other factors. So, however, is a signal word here, because the trajectory of the answer changes. That means that the person has not agreed with the other's point. He wants to pitch in his own factors, or he wants the other person to consider the alternate options. So this is a signal word. Paraphrasing is like, let's say, the conference will commence at 9 a.m. It could be paraphrased to the meeting will begin, or the meeting is scheduled to start at 9 a.m. in the morning. In this way, they have paraphrased. Use context clues, like let's say in a dialogue, if someone mentions, if I left my umbrella at the cafe, so the cafe becomes your context of clue. It is where the person has left his umbrella. So if the question says the person left his umbrella at, you know the answer, it was cafe, at the cafe. The next is focus on intonation and stress. It means that when it is when it is going to be a final answer, you will be able to understand it in the way that the answer is going to be spoken to you. So let's say it is important to submit the report by Friday. It conveys the significance of the deadline, and that the fact that you will not have any time after Friday. So this is the intonation. The next is minimize distractions. How can you do that? If you want to minimize distraction, you will have to make sure that you are sitting in a room where there's not a lot of noise, and make sure that you do not have people around you, because then people, places, they break your confidence, and they like distract you pretty easily. So make sure that you are minimizing your distractions by not sitting in a group of, let's say, in a place where there's a lot of people when you're practicing. The next is engage in conversations. The more you're going to practice, any language is learned through imitating it. So if you want to learn English, you need to speak in English. So you can ask anybody to help you, like ask them to converse in English. Ask them how did I perform, ask them for the real feedback. Even again, you can come to us, we will help you out with this. And the last one is watch English media. The more the more you are going to expose yourself to an English speaking environment, the better it will get for you. So make sure that you are watching, listening to stories, watching podcast. You can get the audio version of any story and also get a hardcover. So you read and listen at the same time. It really helps you in visualizing better. It helps you to understand things better. So that is what you can do. The next is listen to English songs. Again, listening to Adele. Adele has a British English pronunciation. I think she's a British. So if you are able to understand what she is saying, she's a very famous singer in the Western countries, and her accent is like very difficult to understand. So if you listen to songs by Adele, it will help you understand British English pronunciation better. And if you want to understand how the African American use their English, you can listen to songs like Lil Nas or I don't know, Akon or someone. So then you can get an understanding of different kinds of accents without really doing too much. Again, join English groups. I told you the more you practice, the better you become. Utilize English language learning apps. Again, the more you will practice, it's going to be an easier route for you to learn the language. Coming to some exam day strategies, what can be done is A, read the instructions carefully because you will be exactly told how many words can you write. You would be told, can you write in capital or you have to write everything in small letters is also given in the instructions. So it is imperative that you read the instructions carefully. The next is preview questions. Quickly look at the questions before the audio begins, then you will know what exactly you're looking for. The next is stay calm. In face of places where you have to really get the answers, you might feel hysteric. So it's better to practice certain breathing techniques, like before this test starts, just practice deep breathing. It will help you stay calm. The next is manage your time. Pace yourself in a way that you know exactly two questions in mind, so that even if you miss out on one, you will be able to realign yourself. So that's how you basically manage your time. The next is when you are really not sure about the answer, make an educated guess. Do not hesitate, because even if you are incorrect in giving the answers, there's no negative marking. So make an educated guess instead of skipping the question altogether. So this was all about the listening section. Again, I have to reiterate, listening section is one of the easiest section solely because of the fact that you don't have to really find out the answers from anywhere. The answers are right in front of you. You just have to point it out and you just have to listen and get the answer. The next is get yourself an understanding or familiarize yourself with the topic, familiarize yourself with the pattern of the questions. It will help you to get the answers easily, and you will need to practice, of course. So make sure that you are practicing and practicing from the right source. Practice with the people who have a better understanding of English, so they can actually guide you into learning it better. Practice from the official materials, so that you know exactly what to expect, what kind of questions, what are the patterns that you need to expect in the listening section. And take your time when you sit for an exam. Make sure that you are not giving yourself major breaks, because then that will break the flow of the test. And these are certain skills that you can employ, and if you do that, you will see a better positive changes in the way you find the listening test. So this was all about the listening section from my end. If you have any questions, any doubts, you can directly reach out to us. Even if you want to follow, if you want to like book a demo, a free demo session, you can do that as well. You just have to go to World edX IELTS, and there's then option to connect. You can post your queries, and we are going to reach out to you. Until then, I will see you in the next session, which is going to be tomorrow. Thank you so much. Take care.